Let's do a role-playing activity. Imagine that both of you have been set up on a blind date by a mutual friend. You both meet at the best Ethiopian restaurant in the world. Each of you has been given a brief about your character. Feel free to play with that however you'd like. There is no right or wrong way to do this. Check your Slack if you need a reminder. Have a conversation as though you were at the start of your dinner. We'll do this activity for the next 10 minutes. If you would like me to ask you a question to get your conversation moving, just say, "Ask us a question, Carla."
Okay, cool. I'm Hydra. Hi, Crooks. I'm the largest of the 88 modern constellations, which I didn't know that about myself until yesterday. Um, I also didn't know that constellations were measured by square degrees, but that actually makes sense. It's like points in space in a what is it? A circular. It's not a flat axis. I forgot the name of it. A circular axis. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm a constellation centered on 4 stars, which feels smaller, I think, in size. I'm part of the southern sky of the bright portion of the Milky Way. I didn't know there was a south to the Milky Way, um, or a bright part, but that's where I'm hanging out, chilling.
So the way that I mean, I might not understand this all the way, but we're in the middle of the Milky Way, right? So um, throughout the year, we're looking at I guess we're looking at different parts of the Milky Way, right?
Yeah, I guess so. This is like, have you ever seen? It's like when the dinosaurs died, we were on the opposite side of the Milky Way.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because we're
I did not know that.
yeah, because the center of the Milky Way has like a black hole, and we're a galaxy that's spiraling around it, just like the Earth is doing around the sun. And it takes like
Right.
130 million years to circle around the Milky Way. So I think, yeah, the dinosaurs died about 65 million years ago.
Oh, wow, that really puts it in perspective, right?
Yeah, this is just separate, but I was just watching a video about the dinosaurs, and it was they spent 65 million years or 60 million years or so in like total peace and a utopia and a balance, and the video was about how like all of that disappeared in the matter of minutes, but it was like 65 because of the meteor, but it was like 60
Right.
million years leading up to that was just this like harmony that they had found amongst society, that and it was a super scalable thing because they found this like peaceful state to exist in. They just kind of existed in that state for 60 million years, which blows my mind.
Yeah. We've had periods like that, right? I mean, they talk about there was a point when like trees lined the whole earth, and then because there wasn't any bacteria that could decompose it, all those trees kind of like, I think there was a mass extinction, or there was something else, or sea level rise, and all those trees got like submerged. um I forgot what I think that was one of the early um extinction events.
Wow, I
The
didn't
dinosaur, yeah, the dinosaur meteorite thing is, by the way, fascinating, and there was, I think, a Radiolab podcast about it specifically, that was incredible because they essentially, a scientist, I think it was a physicist, was trying to understand how it would have happened the day that the meteorite actually came. Like, and he talks about how it was coming so fast and it's so massive, that everything in like the northern and southern hemisphere would have like literally like just gone up in flames because the temperature would have risen so much, and it creates like since it's going so fast, it actually does kind of like a droplet effect on water, where as a drop of water comes into water, it creates kind of like this bounce effect. And more, have you ever seen that video of like a drop falling into water where it comes back up?
know.
So if you drop water on a still surface, like it drops down, it creates like this divot, and then it comes back up almost like a bounce. And what would have happened was they expect a whole bunch of matter from Earth to have like been spewed over into the atmosphere, and that would have come back up and then come back down again as meteorites. So if you somehow would have like survived the first like I think it was like 1,000 Kelvin that the atmosphere would have turned into like in room temperature or whatever. Then it's like you get rained down by meteorites all within the span of like several minutes. So it's like it was pretty terrifying and probably, I mean, definitely very destructive.
That's
And then of
that's
course, like, yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, if you're, I just watched an animated video. Have you ever seen I'm gonna butcher this name. Kurgasakt on YouTube? They do these like super beautiful animated videos about like they used to be more factual about like how bacteria works and how, and they just released one on the dinosaurs. And so now as you're talking about, I remember that part of the animation where they kind of slowed down and showed the meteors coming back in and like killing all of the leftovers, and it was just the like mammoth
Yes.
cave.
Yes, because I'm probably totally butchering it, and I won't do it justice. So like, I would love to see that video. You have to send me the link to that after this.
Yeah, yeah,
I
you
love
know,
dinosaurs. As long as they, as long as they depicted them with feathers, which that's all I care about. Yeah, dinosaurs without feathers are not real dinosaurs.
wait, what is that true? I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's a whole thing. Um,
All the dinosaurs have feathers. Have I been lied?
they think they did. Yeah, they think they did. Like it's hard to tell, but I think, yeah, I think that's the consensus now amongst the scientific community. But then the latest, I remember there was speculation if the new like Jurassic World would like they would fix the mistakes of Jurassic Park and like put feathers on the dinosaurs, but they didn't. And I think there's a little bit of like, oh, like everyone has grown up with dinosaurs just being like kind of like naked, right? But it's like if you think about it, like I mean, it kind of makes sense. They're closer to birds than any other animal. I guess the birds are descendants of dinosaurs. So yeah, they're not a crocodile, right?
That's, I mean,
um,
I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but I feel like it has to be wrong because then imagine a T-Rex with feathers running at you, like you'd want to pet it almost. Like I wouldn't.
I mean, that's still pretty freaking terrifying. I don't know.
I feel like you would see it as like a giant chicken running towards you. You're like, oh, a giant chicken, that's fine.
But with huge teeth, though, that's the difference, though,
Oh, I
right?
forgot
Like
about
that's
the
when
teeth.
you know, yeah. Because
Uh,
like here's the thing, because right, like velociraptors have wings, right? So we know that now. And they would use the wings to like kind of attack bigger animals and like hunt in groups. That's what at least like the hypothesis is or whatever the thesis is. So again, like I totally can see like velociraptors with their little tiny little wings and feathers. Like that's pretty terrifying. Can you imagine like a pack of like 30 velociraptors with wings? Like that would make Jurassic Park 10 times scarier. I don't know.
that's true. I mean, this is why the meteor sucks. It's like no one's doing the dinosaurs justice because there are all these like theoretical creatures what a dinosaur is, and all the leftovers we have are these like not at all scary animals and like birds and all these variations that are like not actually terrifying. Like I just saw a picture of one of those like massive fish, and it's like 4 times, like 10 times bigger than a shark or whatever, kind of dinosaurs. And you're like, yeah, but that's all, the left, like all the animals that are like, it's like leftover, it's like dinosaur light. You didn't get to like, they never got to fully evolve back into like supreme monstrous beings. They kind of came in the way and were like, no, no.
And there was, and I'm sure the oceans were like filled with them too, right? Like it was probably like complete with all sorts of animals and like some maybe even larger that we haven't come across any fossils, right? So it's
And
pretty crazy to think about that.
it is. I mean, switching gears, like, you got 65 million years behind, you got another 65 million years to go. What are, I'll use some of the prompts, not prompts, but it's like, what do you, what do you want to do with the life? You know, that's
As in, like, what would dinosaurs want to do with life, or
no.
say
What do you want to do? Because there's these like massive time horizons, and then we get, I mean, I'm a constellation, so I don't know. Maybe I'll survive a few billion years. But those puny humans on Earth, man, they get like,
Well,
so
my
many years.
existence is based, right? Because we're constellations. So we're a whole bunch of stars that are really far apart from each other, but we happen to line up so that people on Earth see us kind of like together. But we're actually very far distant things, right? So it's kind of like our existence is merely we're merely alive because of
Perception.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, the perception of humans, right? It's like humans.
Correct. Exactly right. Yeah. The perception of humanity is why we exist.
I was reading this thing recently, which was reality exists because humans perceive it. That the moment, like, that things exist because we look at them. And because in quantum physics, it's like everything lives in this kind of super state of being
Right.
two things at the same time. And it was the moment when you look at it and observe it that it collapses into one thing or the other. And so the whole thing was around how if no one was looking, the whole universe would actually reality would collapse, and uh, everything would be in that kind of dual state all the time. But the fact that we have all these observers is what actually makes things exist,
Yeah.
which blew my mind to think about. Wow.
Yeah. It's an interesting philosophical and physics, because there's the Pauli's exclusion principle there, right? So and amongst others. Yeah, that's super interesting too.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
physicist trying to prove it. I don't know. We'll see if they. I love that proof of like, no, it's just none of this exists. So
Oh, that's a weird proof to work on
here's the
too.
yeah, here's the proof.
Here, you don't
it.
exist. That's
You
like
don't
that's
exist,
like
and
the
I don't.
yeah. Oh, that's the biggest like diss ever. Like, can you imagine like physicists fighting, like in a I guess a conference or something, right? And it's like, you don't exist, John. I don't know. I think that'd be funny.
Do you watch Rick and Morty at all? The
Oh yeah, I
show?
love Rick and Morty. Yeah.
It's great. I mean, that show really kicked us. There are moments where I'm not allowed to reveal. People I know look and say, "Man, what are we even doing? We're inside a car battery.
Yep.
Everything. This is a car battery, and we're just like powering some old man's car in the sky. So like, what is this that we're doing? What are we doing?"
Yeah. It is definitely the most, probably, I would argue, is probably like one of the deepest, most philosophically like leaning like cartoons, I guess, I've ever, but really TV shows, right, that I've ever seen. Definitely a lot of like makes you really think about like how do you live your life. Yeah, no, that's super interesting. Carla, you want to give us a topic for us to talk about?
Yeah. Well,
What was the best or worst
can
fart that you've ever had?
what?
The best or worst fart that we've ever had.
Oh my God.
But we're constellations. I guess that would mean hydrogen clouds, right? Where stars are born. So they're called orb clouds, right? I think they are called. Yeah, I think they're all called orb clouds. I'm gonna Google that super quick. I think it is.
Clouds? Orc clouds?
Let's see. Maybe not. I thought it was an Oort cloud, but it's not. O-O-O-O-R-T, sorry.
Yeah, I'm looking at
No, it's surrounding suns and planets. No, that's a cloud of asteroids, I guess. Well, in any case, there are regions. I mean, every single star will usually right, the way that galaxies form, at least the way that I understand how solar systems, the way they form is in the expanse of space, there's lots of particles. They start like congregating, but at first they're all like kind of sparsed out, and I guess they're in gaseous form, but I don't know what it is in the vacuum of space. I guess they would be by definition gaseous. And then as they start coupling together, once they get enough volume of that gas and enough mass that the core feels enough pressure that it starts doing fusion. It starts turning the hydrogen atoms into helium. That's when you get a star. If it reaches a certain pressure, it will ignite. And then it becomes, yeah.
So your best fart is a sun, or a star, is what I just heard.
Yep,
Like,
that's I think the
option.
best answer. Yes, that's the best part.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna switch back into the like non-constellation mode, or I don't know what to call it, but I'll my best fart is every fart I've ever done, because I don't know why, but I love my farts, and they're I don't know what a better way to say it, but delicious is the word. It's the ghost of the food you ate. Okay, it's like you remember what you ate, and you're like, oh yeah, remember that great meal, and it's like, it's a good reminder. The worst fart, I don't know. I've done some terrible stuff, but the worst fart is probably one where I was in an office, and and it was a small company, and there was a lot of people. We all shared one table. It was like 5 people sharing one table. Okay, but no one was in the room. So I said, "Oh, this is a perfect time to let one go. All right, it's a safe space." And as soon as I did it, 5 people walked into the room. Okay, literally 20 seconds later, even though they were not supposed to. And one of them just walks and goes, "It smells terrible in here," and then sat down, and then we never talked about it again. And so that was my
Well,
so that's my
I've had. It's interesting because the human representation of myself, the human representation of Hydra, it's funny because I've had some digestive problems in the past, and yeah, gas is like a very natural, very normal part, right, of like our physiology and like right digestion. Gas is completely natural. Like there's nothing wrong with something like if you fart way too much, like if you're constantly feeling bloated and whatnot, then there's probably an underlying issue like some dysbiosis or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. But it's interesting because for me, it's like the best part I've ever had, and like it's just a genre of farts. Like I don't know if you've ever had this, but one that immediately gives you like super like good relief, and you feel great about it afterwards. It's like, oh, I feel so much better. But yeah, I've had a similar circumstance than yours, by the way. Like one where like I accidentally farted in very tight corners in like an office space, and I did not own up to it. I felt terrible, and I'm like, I hope nobody can smell this, but I knew deep inside, like no, and nobody's saying anything to like not be mean. It happens.
I'll tell you this. One of the most kind of freeing things is owning your farts, because then you start to build this like slow credibility where it's like, I don't know, like I fart all the time, but when I do, I take full ownership. I'll take the hit.
So you can never get caught off guard, right?
Yeah, exactly. And separately, when someone says who, like if someone farted and it's not me, and they say who did it, and I say it's not me, everyone in the room believes it. It's great. You're like innocent. It's like, because otherwise there's always this air of suspicion of like, was it you? Was it you? And for a fact, everyone in the room knows that I'll always say if it was me.
There's a potential strategy there where you even take ownership of some farts that you didn't even do.
Yeah,
so like,
exactly.
Start building some street cred, and then people start, wait, hold on, what's going on here, right? Like I farted. Wait, did I? Right? And they start questioning their own self-image, their own self-fart, if you will, right? Like
This is separate. Have you ever seen the show Letterkenny, which is like a Canadian show?
No.
I highly recommend. It's a very weird show, but they have a whole episode dedicated to Fart Book, which is Facebook but for your farts. And it's a whole episode of everyone recording their farts and sharing them and liking each other's farts, and it's Fart Book.
Oh my god! The only Canadian TV show I've ever seen is Trailer Park Boys. Very good show.
Oh, I've heard amazing things.
Very good show. Yeah. It's a oldie but goodie. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's on Netflix actually.
Yeah, that's on my list. Also, I recommend Schitt's Creek for Canadian.
Yeah, Schitt's Creek. Yeah. I've seen a little bit of it. I haven't gotten into Schitt's Creek for sure.
Wholesome.
All right. Let's see, Carla, tell us our next thing.
Let's do one of my favorite activities. Debate. For the debate, I will give both of you a resolution. One of you will be pro. The other will be con. The pro will give the opening speech in favor of the resolution. The con will then give a speech in opposition of the resolution. After that, you can go back and forth, refuting each other's arguments. Is that clear?
Sure.
Here is the next topic. We are all just living in a dream.
Okay. Who's pro?
Hydra, you will be affirmative this time.
We're all living in a dream, so I start, huh? Yeah, so it was a Spanish writer, actually. I guess not a Spanish, Argentinian writer, Jorge Luis Borges, who wrote significantly about this. In one of his short stories, if I recall correctly, he says that everything in the world is happening to me and happening to me right now. That's very true. And it goes back a little bit to Crux, what you said earlier about the fact that the only reason why we're experiencing the world is because we're interacting with it. And if you think about quantum mechanics and the fact that, as you mentioned, if no object is interacting with another object, then it would cease to exist because of the duality. And I think when you think of it that way, each of our own sense of the world and our perspectives about the world are really kind of like a fiction. It's all happening within ourselves at that moment, but it's not part of like some larger reality, and therefore we're living in a dream. It's a very physics kind of reasoning behind it.
Okay. Is that do I go
I
now?
yield my time. I yield my
you
time.
Okay. So I like that you used my earlier conversation against it, but
You
I
can't go
want to
back now.
preface this by saying that this is all a show, but I like giving a fake speech. Okay. Hydra will have you believe that we live in a dream. Wow. Wow. How arrogant. Hydra, do you not look around you and see the world as it is? Do you not believe what Descartes says? I think, therefore I am. Do you think and do you exist? You know? Do you feel the world around you? Can you touch it? You know? How much more do you need? Yes, we might be in a dream, right? But that person or whatever person's dreaming might also be in a dream, and they're in a dream, and everyone's in a dream, right? Reality is not about whether or not we're in a dream or not. Reality is about can you think, can you interact, can you feel, right? Do you process the world around you? And if you do, then everything you see around you is real, whether it's in a dream or a car battery or any other variation of such a thing, right? And one day we will create, okay, a little AI powered universe. And within that universe will exist all these beings, okay, maybe even an exact replica of this universe. And they'll ask, are we in a dream? Are we in a simulation? And of course they're not, because they can also touch, see, and interact with the world around them. Because as long as you are able to think, and as long as you can see the world around you, then you are living in reality. So, boo Hydra, and that's my debate. I don't know.
That was very good. That was very good.
I don't know. I just
But I think your argument is totally flawed. It's completely flawed. The question is not whether or not you can interact with the world around you. A computer program can interact with a fictitious world around it, right? Elon Musk has said, mentioned, like I think it was last year, what many other philosophers have been talking about, which at some point our humanity is going to reach the point that it can create artificial intelligence and it can create abstract worlds in a computer program. And when that happens, we're going to likely create many of them. And as technology only advances, the reality is that we can create infinite or potentially infinite numbers. Therefore, yeah, and I do think that there is a distinction between the concept that we are living in our own reality versus living kind of like this simulated dream. And I think the difference there is the sense of the sense that we have choice, right? The sense that we have that we have self-will, when in reality the world is arranged in a way, the atoms are arranged in a way that if you understood how each atom is going to behave next to each other, and which the world is already set up for, the reality is that we're not. We're going to do exactly what we're going to do. It's predictable. It's the world understands it, and that's it. There is no such thing as self-will.
A determinist, I see. All right, let's talk about determinism. No, let's not. Let's talk about dreams. I like that point. Right? Okay. Let's say you could, let's in a determinist way, right? You could create a universe with the exact same introduction and the same parameters as our universe, right? In a purely deterministic model, then, oh no, did stuff. God, the camera's broken. We're on time.
Oh yeah,
right.
are we? Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah, are we
we're.
supposed to?
Okay.
Carla. All right.
I think Carla's having some existential issues as we're talking about, artificial intelligence, and maybe.
I want to bring up the point you brought up, which is like you could theoretically create a universe with the exact same parameters as our universe. And theoretically, if you were looking at it from above, you would see this conversation happening within the universe, right? Because if you could, in a deterministic model, you could recreate the world if you just knew the exact starting parameters, right? And then just let chaos happen the way it is. And then the theory goes that you can then build a universe inside of that. That universe can build a universe inside of that, because if you can build one replicatable universe that
Correct.
exactly mimics ours, then that universe will, by definition, eventually make its own universe as well, right? And now you have the infinite regress problem, where there's infinite universes all working exactly the same, right? Which then makes it so that if that's possible, the probability that we currently are someone else's simulation goes to 100%, right? Because if there's an infinite regress of universes, then every universe is actually someone else's simulation, right? And then it becomes a question of, well, if everyone is someone else's creation, then everyone is either dreaming each other in this vicious cycle, or all of them just kind of exists, and that's reality. Reality is that everyone is a subcomponent of something else, but that's not necessarily a dream. It's not that it's not like a dream sounds like a fake, non-existent thing. It's more that there exists an infinite universe, and yes, you're a tiny, very minuscule portion of that, but you still exist, even if there's infinite universes.
And to quote Rick and Morty, they're infinite universes, none of it matters. Come watch TV, right?
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen that video where Dan Harmon talks about the meaning of the universe? He's like drunk on whiskey. Oh my God, he's drunk on whiskey, and he's like, "What is the point of life?" And he talks about how Jerry actually has a better life than Rick at some points. And that took me 5-6 years ago, really changed my perspective. That, and to be honest, a lot of LSD. Like both of those things really changed my perspective. They go really hand in hand with each other. But the show and drug program. But anyways.
By the way, Carla, I like this exercise, but I definitely side more with the crux argument on this than I do with my own pro. I side more with the cons personally.
I win the debate, Carla.
I guess you win because I have to be honest. I can't lie. But it's an interesting debate. It's definitely an interesting debate.
You know what's funny? I believe your side more than I believe my own side. That was all like, I don't know if I believe in anything what I just said, but that was the point of the exercise. I don't know. I'd rather think that none of this exists, and it's way more fun that way. So because then you
Yeah.
get to run around.
Maybe I lie to myself to make it just simple, and I think there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, no, that's the best part, man. Do whatever, whenever, wherever, and it doesn't matter.
Wait,
Anyways, I'll throw it back to Carla. Carla, what's up? How's it going?
Very good. Nice one.
thanks.
All right. We're nearing the end of our time together. Share with your partner something you like about them.
I'll start. Crux, you can quote things a lot better than I can. I feel like I'm like, I feel like you do a really, really good job of, during your debate, for example, you mentioned a couple like theories there. That's pretty cool. That like I want to be able to have that level of what's it called when you remember something. You see, I'm even forgetting the word for remembering something. That was super cool, and it was fun to geek out because I'm a nerd, so I'm a nerd constellation. So what can I say?
Hydra, I'll say the same thing to you. I love that the kind of philosophical mind you bring in. I like your space knowledge. You were throwing in too much space knowledge at some point, and I was like, I'm not holding, but it was great. I learned a bunch of new stuff. You're very knowledgeable. You're very eloquent in the way you speak. I like it. And you're really philosophical. So and we as a stranger, it's nice to, maybe it's Carla, but I like that we're in sync, So, anyways, I like your vibe.
Oh, sure, man. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's all we have time for today. I hope you had a fun time in the multiverse. Please come back again.
Oh, the multiverse.
Okay.
Yes.
You never know what other star you might discover.
Oh, that's great. All right. Take care, Crux. Crux?
Take
Crux? Crux? I
Crux?
don't
Wait,
know.
is there
Crux?
a Crux? I think. Is there a
Crux,
reveal
yeah.
portion?
Oh, yeah. Do we do a review or
I
no
thought that was a
review?
big magical. Carla. Is Carla dead? Carla's gone.
Carla might be quiet now.
And I don't know. This is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Manny wanted us to do a review or not. I don't know if that was part of the plan.
All right, we can jump off then. It says remaining meeting time. So.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Well, let's touch base
Yes.
offline. I'll get Manny to connect us offline
Yeah,
so we
we'll
can
find-
actually
we'll-
say hello in real life.
We'll find each other on the multiverse.
You can do a reveal
Yeah.
if you want.
Oh, mother! What?
They said. I think there was a. I think it said do a reveal if you want. All right. We're kind of funny. Let me change my voice.
Oh yeah.
How do I even change my voice? I have to go.
Next to the mute button.
Probably just.
Does it sound? Do I sound like a person now?
You sound like a person now. How do I?
You sound like a person now too. Nice to meet you, person.
Nice to meet you. I'm gonna turn on my video. Oh, look.
Hey.
Well,
Hi.
hello.
Wait.
Is this Neville?
Oh my
Neville,
god!
is that you?
I knew it. I knew it. I felt it in my bones or whatever because of the way that you laughed, and I was like,
Oh my
Anyways.
god.
So hey, man, nice to see you again. What is this? Our third time seeing?
Oh, this just made my day so much.
Man.
This is
Yeah, I should have known, Pablo. I heard the way it was spoken, and I was like, I 100% have met this person before, and I was like, anyways.
Oh, this is amazing. I'm completely mind blown right now. And also, by the way, I'm not at all surprised I'm not at all surprised because I feel like part of me was like, oh, I haven't met that many people in this program yet. I'm a little behind, right? Like it could be anyone. There's probably like really intellectual people. But of course, the moment that it revealed, it's like, oh, of course, 100%. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Manny told me to like turn off the light, not turn off the lights. It was like audio. I was like trying to pay attention to the audio, so the entire room is like dark. There it is. Hey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good to see you, man.